Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and good morning. This is Laurie Smith on blogtalkradio.com. Welcome everybody. This is February the 12th. It's Friday, 5:30 in the morning here in Calgary, Alberta time, and I'm just waking up, having some coffee and getting ready to start the day. And I hope you're all well. This is a live internet streaming broadcast on internet. It's blogtalkradio.com, an internet radio broadcast, and we'll be on about 15 minutes this morning. Today we're going to start talking about it's an article that I found on Child Welfare Information Gateway, and it's called Long-Term Consequences of Child Abuse and Neglect, because it kind of falls in with the trauma that we were talking about all last week and this week and even part of last week. So it's kind of, I wanted to cover how trauma really affects children in childhood, especially in regards to child abuse and neglect. So I found this article, and you can read with me as well. You can go to their website. They have a great website, www.childwelfare.gov. So we'll be on this morning talking about that, and we're going to continue on as long as we need to, just to cover the subject. And this is one child abuse survivor to another, and it's not a professional show. I'm not a professional. I don't hold any professional counseling certificates or professional therapist certificates. And, it's just me paying for this just to do this show, just because I want to share resources and information that I find as I'm walking out my healing. And a lot of my healing's already really been accomplished, thank God. But, I know there's people out there who are suffering and who just are having such a hard time, and, who have come through so much, but don't realize that there's people out there who can help them, and that they're not alone. So that's why I'm doing this show, just really to say, you're not alone, and also because I'm an advocate for child rights, human rights, and really I'm speaking out against all abuse against children and all abuse against anyone, really, human rights, etc. So yeah, it's not a professional show, and it's not to replace professional help. I do completely agree with professional help if it's needed, but I also agree that we as survivors, of child abuse and domestic violence and sexual exploitation, that we all, can reach out to one another because we've been there, experienced it, and we shouldn't be suffering in silence and suffering alone. And I really feel that abuse is the reason abuse actually, there hasn't been much done to actually eradicate abuse, is because it's always been pushed under the carpet, because people are told, because the abusers obviously do not want to get busted for abusing their families or their friends or whoever they're abusing. They always tell you to hush it up. I know myself, when I was growing up, I was told that my mom told me she would kill me if I told anybody what was going on in our home, and I did, and thank God she didn't kill me. But the thing is she was very violent, and numerous occasions told me that if I ever told anyone, she would kill me. So I was living kind of under the threat that she would end my life if I chose to spoke out about what was going on in the home. And I know for sure that there's so many people out there who have been through this, whether it's a parent or it could be a sibling, could be a relative, an aunt, an uncle, just anyone is possible of doing that. Anyone can be an abuser. And so we know that silence is really a bad thing. I think we all need to speak up and speak out against abuse. If every single person on this planet who's been abused stands up and says, no, it's got to stop, you would see some change. And so we all have to do it. It has to be my voice. It has to be your voice. It has to be the neighbor's voice. Even if they weren't abused, they need to stand up for us, because honestly, you look in the paper, you look around the world. I'm not just talking North America, I'm talking the worldwide. It's an epidemic, and it's such a huge problem. The consequences of child abuse and neglect are huge on society. It's a real problem. And not only that, we're talking about people's lives. They do not deserve to be abused. No one deserves to be abused in any way. And so that's just my thing. I'm just going to do this as long as I can. If you're under the age of 18, the only thing I suggest, because this show is about children, it is for children, and it's the reason that I'm doing it. But the thing is some of the topics are very very sensitive and kind of disturbing for a lot of people. And especially if you're young and you haven't heard a whole lot about abuse, you might want to have someone listen to it with you, just because they can maybe help answer questions. Maybe someone older, like a mentor, a coach or a teacher, or someone in your family that you trust, right? And just so they can help you with questions and stuff, and so you won't feel bad and just wonder why, what I'm talking about. It's a lot. It's really quite upsetting to most people, the subject of abuse, and so that's why I always say that. So we'll go right on to this article here, long-term consequences of child abuse and neglect. I found this at Child Welfare Information Gateway, www.childwelfare.gov, and you can read it. It's actually an old article, but they said that they don't mind people sharing this resource as long as we credit their name. So I think that's just awesome. It's from April 2008, so obviously the statistics are not going to be right, because the things have changed, and they always do. They change daily. So we won't worry about the statistics. But what I really like about it is just it kind of covers a lot of the information, like factors affecting the consequences of child abuse and neglect, physical health consequences, psychological consequences, behavioral consequences, and societal consequences. So I thought we would just read through this because it's so good. It sort of just brings into focus what the long-term consequences are of child abuse and neglect. So we'll just start reading right now from their page. It says, and we won't worry about the statistics, an estimated 905,000 children were victims of child abuse or neglect in 2006. So that's almost 100,000. That was from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 2008. While physical injuries may or may not be immediately visible, abuse and neglect can have consequences for children, families, and society that last lifetimes, if not generations. The impact of child abuse and neglect is often discussed in terms of physical, psychological, behavioral, and societal consequences. In reality, however, it is impossible to separate them completely. Physical consequences, such as damage to a child's growing brain, can have psychological implications, such as cognitive delays or emotional difficulties. Psychological problems often manifest as high-risk behaviors. Depression and anxiety, for example, may make a person more likely to smoke, abuse alcohol or illicit drugs, or overeat. High-risk behaviors, in turn, can lead to long-term physical health problems, such as sexually transmitted diseases, cancer, and obesity. This fact sheet provides an overview of some of the most common physical, psychological, behavioral, and societal consequences of child abuse and neglect, while acknowledging that much crossover among categories exists. So it says, factors affecting the consequences of child abuse and neglect. Not all abused and neglected children will experience long-term consequences. It says, outcomes of individual cases vary widely and are affected by a combination of factors, including, and they include these here, the child's age and developmental status when the abuse or neglect occurred, the type of abuse, physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, etc., the frequency, duration, and severity of abuse, and the relationship between the victim and his or her abuser. So it says researchers who have begun to explore why, given similar conditions, some children experience long-term consequences of abuse and neglect while others emerge relatively unscathed. The ability to cope and even thrive following a negative experience is sometimes referred to as resilience. A number of protective and promotive factors may contribute to an abused or neglected child's resilience. These include individual characteristics such as optimism, self-esteem, intelligence, creativity, humor, and independence, as well as the acceptance of peers and positive individual influences such as teachers, mentors, and role models. Other factors can include the child's social environment and the family's access to social supports. Community well-being, including neighborhood stability and access to safe schools and adequate health care, are other protective and promotive factors. So I think that's just quite interesting. There's just it just depends on a lot of things. How a child's going to come through being abused, and it depends on so many different things. For instance, what their depends on their own characteristics as well as sort of external factors, right? Like whether or not they have social support in the community or within their environment or around, in the school. If they have some role models, right, they might walk away less, less kind of damaged by that, right? So it just all depends, and that's why we're all different. And even within my own family, the siblings are all different. We all handled it differently. We were all kind of treated a little bit differently by our parents, depending on who you were. That's just who you were, how you were treated. So some of us kind of walked away with little or to no problems, and some of us walked away carrying on a lot of psychological and emotional damage, which in turn led to a suicide, drug use, and overdose, and with myself, just a real self-loathing and a real hate for life, and a hate towards what had happened in our family that was just eating away at me, right? And so, and then there's other people in my family who didn't experience that at all and really can't understand why I feel the way that I do. So this is the thing; it can just vary so much within families, and that's why it's such a problem, for people who have gone through this and who've suffered child abuse of any kind, emotional, verbal, sexual, physical abuse. Doesn't seem to matter. Some of us come through with not a whole lot of problems, and some of us don't. And I see that even with my own survivor friends. And and it depends on the severity of the abuse and stuff too, right? So there's so many things that affect it. So we have about 3 minutes left. I think we'll continue on. We're going to continue this on next week. We're going to work on this all week next week in the morning, same time, same place, and we'll start on Monday morning. Physical health consequences. And so we're going to look at shaken baby syndrome. We're going to look at impaired brain development and poor physical health. And we'll try to we'll go from there. We'll see how far we can get through the article. But this article is, excuse me, www.childwelfare.gov. And you're welcome to go there and check it out. I would. There's some great information on here and lots of links and stuff. This website's really awesome, and I like it. It's got lots of great information there. Well, I'm going to read out some of my some of the resources that I have. I'm the Canada Regional Director for volunteer for DreamCatchersForAbusedChildren.com, and I just can't be happier about that. This has put me in such a healing place in my life, and it's a dream come true. It's an honor to stand with them, and I'm just hoping to be able to do some great things up here for them and for the children of Canada as well as the United States, and that's my goal. And so I just thank them for this opportunity because it means so much to me. Probably more than they'll ever know. So, I just thank them so much. You can check out their website. It's an awesome website full of so many resources. I just tell everybody about it. It's HTTP, and you can just type right into your browser there, DreamCatchersForAbusedChildren.com, and you can find everything on there. You just look under the tabs for what you're looking for. What is child abuse? And it goes through to explain. There's a free PDF download on there, the Child Abuse Handbook, written by Donna Shear and Sandra Potter, and they both co-authored and wrote that free PDF. It's a free book, and you can download it for free, and it has all kinds of great information on it. So I would highly recommend you stop by that site. And there's also We Are Adult Survivors of Child Abuse and Neglect, and this is www.wearesurvivors.org. And I like this website. There's adult survivor news stories, survivors learning to feel safe, resources, child abuse runaway, and street sex, all kinds of information, child abuse and unemployment, and there's recommended books, relationships, research, healing from abuse, and it's a great website. I really like it. There's the silverbraid.org, and you can, that's the Silverbraid Survivors of Sexual Exploitation Network. It's really the voice of Voices for Justice Network. And they have safe homes for adults and minors, database with 25 cities partnering with Rescue and Restore Victims of Human Trafficking campaign. That's a great website. They have a 1-800 toll-free hotline, 1-888-702-7273, and that's the Silverbraid.org. You can check them out. They have great resources on there. So I hope everybody is well. I'll be back on tonight, 9:30, and make sure you just keep that hope alive. Keep reaching out, and keep looking and keep searching for what's going to work in your life so that you can have a good life too, because we all deserve it. But it won't happen if we're not looking for it and we're not searching for it. Reach out. If no one's reaching out to you, you reach out to someone else, or you reach out to me. You reach out to somebody, because people don't often see what's going on, and they won't reach out to you because they won't know. You have to reach out to them. So stay strong, everybody, and keep that hope alive. My heart is with you all, and I'm thankful you could join me today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.